the 23rd.
Correct.
All right. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right. All right, let's get rolling here. Welcome to today's used car marketing dealer strategy session. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd. We are entering I think we're in the middle of summer. I am Ryan Girardi, and I'm joined alongside co-host Jay Wurzberger. Hello, my friend, if you're there.
Hey, check. What's going on?
Looking good and sounding good.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
My first day back after a week down in Florida, so might have to dust some rust off here for a little bit.
That's cool. We're all jealous.
But listen, for those that are tuned in live, I'll check the live feed in a few moments. Today, we're going to look at Hertz. What's going on with Hertz? The SEC tells Hertz to stop selling its quote-unquote worthless stock. Vroom raises its IPO price range. We'll talk about that for a little bit. There is a new auction company that allows dealers to buy and sell through an app. And used car wholesale prices are up. So we'll take a look at what that's about. As you see, I've got Jay here. Jay is host of Auto Transport Intel, goes live every Tuesday night. What do you have lined up for today, Jay?
We're going to do automated vehicle inspections. It's an interview with Raven.ai. Raven.ai is a website. And I'm going to share the link to the show.
I just brought it up right here.
See, you've got it. And then in case you want to tune in and set the reminder. So there's a link. I just shared it on YouTube live chat.
Okay, great.
And yeah, it's going to be really interesting because machine learning is a part of everything, or will be, as the future unfolds. And so good question here. Can you automate vehicle inspections? What would that look like? What sources would you use? I actually still have a lot of questions about it, so I'm interested in finding out more. Now, what we're looking at there, see, I don't post the blog until the show is done, so that's last week's show. Ride Clean.
That's what I'm trying. Like, where you're not even talking about.
Ride Clean was it? But here's what you got to do. So if you go to YouTube, Auto Transport Intel, there you go. And then if you see down there Tuesday Nights Live, there you go. Vehicle Inspection Reimagined. That's tonight's show. And so I have a lot of questions for Eleron, and Eleron will be live from Israel. So he's probably catching Z's, and then he's gonna get up at 5 a.m. and join me. But he will be live on Auto Transport Intel YouTube channel tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. And it's gonna be really interesting stuff.
You said 9 p.m. Central. You meant 8 Central.
So I go live at 8, and I'm going to do an hour of show, and he's going to join at 9. That way he can catch as much sleep as he can. So that's still getting up pretty early. But yeah, it's going to be a great show.
So go to autotransportintel.com, folks. Jay put the link in the YouTube chat, which I'll check on in a moment. I'll be up there. And that'll be good. And the reason why Jay's here is this is the used car dealer strategy marketing dealer strategy session. It's one of 6 different programs that we run within the auto retail marketing mastermind series. So you can see we have advanced auto, consumer experience, fixed ops, social selling, used cars, video are the 6 within the program. And there's the monthly new roundtable, Cars on the Move. And the purpose of that roundtable is to bridge dealers with auctions and car transport parties as well. So that is a premium webinar that we run. You can participate in one for free. So if you go to autoconversion.net, look under Masterminds, you will find a link to that. And Jay and myself, we will be there, as well as Ty Thompson, who we're hoping can join us before today's session ends. That's Cars on the Move. So, and that's really our goal here. Where, the used car business is such a critical or essential component to the automotive industry as a whole. And that's why we have this program. So if you're on the live feed, welcome. We do record this. We used to feature these on the Auto Converse podcast, but I'm actually happy to announce that we will soon be introducing them to the Dealer Talk podcast hosted by Herb Anderson. So that's something to look forward to. So
Awesome.
let's get things going here. Last 2 weeks ago on our Wednesday show, the Mobility Tech Connectivity Show, we talked about Hertz and that, being in financial trouble even prior to the coronavirus pandemic. But with the whole pandemic and the collapse in business travel, that was the coup de grace for Hertz, and it ended up filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. But here's what's interesting. Obviously, they're in a desperate move to raise cash, and the court allowed Hertz to sell up to $1 billion worth of stock as long as it warned investors that they would probably get wiped out. It did not stop investors, though. So trading volume in stock is the highest that it's been for Hertz in 5 years. 5 years ago, they were at $70 a share. In February, just before the pandemic hit, they were at $20. Today, it's trading at $2. And so the SEC has decided to step in and tell Hertz they have to actually stop selling shares. So that's the story. Jay, have you kept a pulse on this at all?
Excuse me. I keep a pulse on companies that are affected and affect car shipping, and rental cars is a huge part of car shipping. In fact, it's number 5 on Ty's list of 5 dealers or car haulers to talk to. So, yeah, the rental car industry, obviously has changed a lot. But what I don't follow is the Wall Street stuff. I find that difficult that's a whole nother animal. And them stepping in tells me that animal is a wild beast, and left untethered. We're always surprised when we hear like Wall Street has done something, that we don't fully understand or doesn't represent the consumer. And thank you, SEC. I'm assuming they saw something that required a little bit of regulation. And I know that's regulation is not a favorite word, but I don't know what they were doing. But yeah, it seems strange to me that you'd be selling things before you declare Chapter 11. I don't even know how you do that.
Well, maybe just because it's Hertz, and if they can, and they can work themselves through the bankruptcy, there's a lot to be had. $2 a share.
Well,
buy it up.
I know, but here's the thing, and I'm assuming this is where it falls, is that we complain about loopholes, and then when we see them go unchecked, we shouldn't be surprised. Listen, Hertz was already, these are the articles, Hertz was already in financial straits because of some of the things they were over leveraged. And we as people look down on other individuals when they over leverage themselves. If your neighbor has 3 houses, 2 boats, and is asking to borrow $50, you're going to look down on them. But when companies and corporations do it, we don't seem to treat it the same way. I feel like what I'm saying right now is going to paint me as a lefty, but I'm down the middle. It's strange to me how we don't notice some things that companies do, but we clearly jump on individuals that do it. It seems strange to me.
No, it is hey, Ty's here, by the way. It is
cool.
I'll put Ty, I'm going to put your microphone on. It'll be muted by default, but you'll be able to talk. And then when we're ready, we'll bring you on camera too. You with us, Ty? Give him a second to unmute. Now I hear him. He might be in the middle of something.
Yeah. But in general, that's one of the ways business works. And I don't know. When I see that, it jives with what I was thinking. Like, I don't understand how everybody comes out a winner. And that's it. Not everybody's going to. So is this another form of musical chairs? I don't really get it.
Companies It's just a different standard. It's about market share, right? As long as you're increasing your gross revenue, profitability is a different story with public companies, with stock. It's about gross revenue and market share, as long as you're doing that. So, I mean, rental companies as a whole have been deeply, severely impacted by this whole pandemic.
All of them.
Now, is that starting to open up? I would imagine it is, as states are reopening their economies.
But travel, it's the travel part. There's two big elements. There's the travel, and then there's people that needed loaner vehicles. And if there's another article, I don't know if you had it, but that gas consumption's way down because a lot less people are driving. So that means loaners are down. Travel, we know, is way down. So overall, rental car companies, they have a problem. Right? And it should be no surprise. So, and Hertz was already leveraged. So not only are they not getting, in fact, I read an article that was saying the revenues they were generating pre-COVID, a lot of that was used just to pay off the interest on loans they were having trouble shouldering. So they were like your neighbor that owns 3 houses and 2 boats, and all he's doing, his whole salary goes to pay off credit card minimums. So Hertz was in a position. I'm speculating based on what I was reading. I don't want to say anything that someone can accuse me of spreading false information, but that's what I've read. And I mean, apparently that's this. So again, I don't know how you're selling stock. And another thing that I get on this is the golden parachutes thing. I'm assuming if you sell $1 million or 1 million shares of stock before you go bankrupt, some guy's looking to just fill his parachute. That's just me. I'm a pessimist.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that because it's an important story. I'm curious where the other rental car companies are going to come into play. That they really have to carefully maneuver. I'd say over these next 2 to 3 months.
Well, they do, and we want them to succeed. We do. I mean, I absolutely do.
Well,
I want the airlines and the hotels and the rental cars to stay in business.
If you think about all the inventory at the rental companies, if those have to go into the used car market, that'll affect prices. Right now, we're going to talk about this. Wholesale prices are doing well. New and used car sales are indicating strength right now. Wholesale prices, which plummeted, between March and May, are now starting to pick back up. And those are good signs. But yeah, if the rental car companies can't put those cars on the road, they're going to have to offload them.
Well, and they absolutely are. They're selling it on their own site. I shared that last week. It's Hertz. I don't know. There's a site where you can buy Hertz cars, and they're working with auctions. I don't remember if it was Hertz or which one it was, but it's selling cars. IAA, which is a salvage auto auction, they're working with a rental car company selling cars. So yeah, rental cars are replacing some of the new vehicle inventory that we don't have. So it's interesting how the market, this is how really you see the ecosystem, that one area compensates for the lack of another area. And that's the ecosystem really does maintain some kind of balance. Who would have thought that lack of travel would increase rental car sales, which would help replace some of the lack of new car production?
Maybe we're keeping this fragile house of cards together.
And that's the thing. Yeah, that's actually good news, right? Because we need cars available for people to buy so that things can stay in motion, and then all of the vendors can continue to stay in operation. And really, I think that this is what the stimulus check concept is really all about, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer, but got to keep everything going so that you don't have a full collapse. Because what we are seeing when it comes to new car production and what's happened with global supply chains, it's a disaster. Because global finished vehicle logistics required all these interlocking parts in other countries.
Yeah, if you don't have a place to take the cars off the boat and store them,
I mean,
then they got to stay on the boat or not ship at all.
I mean, and that's the thing is, if you're missing, you think of all the parts in a car, and then all the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers that assemble parts, etc. Yeah, I mean, you can have the whole car, but if you don't have the transmission or, you know, part of the assembly of and anyways, there's any number of reasons why you're not ready to make and finish that car.
I think we're looking good. So as you know, I just got back from a week in Florida. I drove through Illinois because I'm in Chicago. So I like going all through Illinois. It takes like 6 hours to get through Illinois, cross over into Kentucky briefly to Tennessee, go through Nashville, Chattanooga, Atlanta, and then I went down to Orlando.
You drove.
Yeah. Drove. And I shared some of the photos. I was taking photos of transport vehicles that were either empty or missing at least one vehicle, right? If they were completely maxed out, I didn't take a photo, but I was taking photos of some of the, you know, the 3 and 9 car trailers. Always thinking of you. And Ty, your microphone's on. Let's do a quick mic check. You're here, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah. Welcome to the program. And as you heard, Jay and I were just talking about the SEC telling Hertz they now can no longer sell stocks, and so you've been with us on the conversation, I think, right?
Yeah. Can you guys see me?
No, I don't have your camera on. Do you want your camera on? I can bump you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. I'll bump you to panelist. Ty's coming on. So let's get into wholesale prices, but real quick, you know, Vroom, right before I went on vacation, early June, did their IPO. They raised $468 million. If you recall, Stacy on our 2-minute drill down, she had something to say about Vroom. Not a big fan. But they're priced, Vroom priced its initial IPO at 22,250,000 shares at $22 per share. As I said, raised about $468 million. Its stock rose 118% its first day of trading, closing at $47.90. So what does that say for Vroom? I think Vroom would say, we know what customers want, and we are going to get some of this market share, I think is the consensus, which will be interesting because tomorrow on the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show, we've got Kim Evanson and Tim Skoutelis from Max Digital. They've got a white paper on consumer insights from COVID-19. And one of the takeaways from that paper, which we're going to look at tomorrow, is the continued demand for new cars and going in store to buy your car from the dealer, not necessarily doing it 100% online. So we've got two narratives. You've got Vroom and Carvana basically saying customers don't want dealers. They just want to get on the website, get on the app and buy a car, no hassle. That's one narrative. You've got automotive vendors saying the same thing. Got to sell online, remote, contactless. But when we look at what consumers say in surveys and in polls, they still want to get in there and touch and feel that car, kick those tires, and they want to buy it from a salesperson. At least those are the two narratives that I'm seeing.
That's the thing, is that I wonder if this would be good to ask Max Digital, if I'm assuming that their survey represents dealers, online car buyers, people that aren't interested, everybody, because when I watch dealer webinars, it's all dealer. But when I read about online car buying, they all say, I'll never go to a dealership again. So it seems like two different groups, which everything divides into two groups. And here again, we have two conflicting narratives. It's almost like, Ty, it's almost like you've got people that never want to go to the physical auction again. They just want to buy online. And then you've got people that are like, I've got to go to the physical auction. I'm definitely not going to wear a mask, and I will do nothing but wear a mask. You always have two groups. See what I did there?
I did.
I really pushed your buttons. Yeah.
And we will get too into the I don't want to say the political landscape.
I know. I just wanted to wake up anybody that was, falling asleep in their coffee. They went, "What? Mask? Now you got me."
Well, I tell you what,
got me riled up. Now I'm going to pull down a statue. Okay, don't even get me started on the
I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like in Missouri. I'm curious, but it was so refreshing to go when I was in Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida to just be able to walk into places, and staffers and personnel all have masks on. Exactly. Most places have tape and circles for social distancing.
But did you feel a little more normal in the Midwest?
I did.
I know.
I did.
I see that.
And
it's neat.
It was relieving, to say the least. I did find out today that starting Friday of this week in Illinois, where they're going to start going into next phase and permit patrons to go inside of public venues without masks at their discretion.
So I'm going to share this with you, Ty. I've read an article. I can't even believe it. I'm not going to share it on my show tonight. So I'm just going to ruin Ryan's show.
Do it here.
You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Send it in.
Joplin is near the top of cities with the highest. Did you read that?
Yeah. Yeah. Did I?
Highest what?
Highest spikes in COVID cases.
Yeah. And guess where it's at?
At the auction?
Nursing home.
No, where?
Nursing home.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That makes more. Do they have a lot of nursing homes?
It's in a Christian nursing home.
Oh, well, see, that's that ties into the statues.
There you go.
There you go.
No, it's because testing's up. That's why.
See,
right, don't worry.
And that makes sense. Exactly. Well, and you're going to have that.
Right. What are we talking about today?
So we're talking about now, and you're a little quiet. Is it me or is this audio?
I'm being quiet. I can turn.
Okay. He's trying to figure out what's going on.
By the way, Ty, I was looking at there's a miniature shotgun microphone that it hooks into your lightning jack on your phone.
That's what I
And
need.
so when when you have the phone pointed at you, the boom will face you. Anyways, we're going to take a look at it. It should be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right?
Ty, I'm going to send today's news items through the Zoom chat here. We just covered Hertz being told by the SEC to stop selling their stock. Vroom raises its IPO price range. So Vroom's feeling good. That led us to talking about the bipolar narratives within industry between what consumers really want. But let's get into something that I know is going to interest you. Is Manheim. Beginning this week, Manheim is bringing back in-lane bidders at 5 locations, pilot locations, with 3 additional sites to follow next week. So the pilot locations include Darlington in South Carolina, Tulsa, Kansas City, Dallas, and Dallas-Fort Worth. And so buyers will be in lanes, but vehicles will not be running through and instead will be displayed on large screens.
So isn't that, it's still a hybrid of open lane, but isn't that odd? Why? Because I'm like, why be there? I mean, I know there's reasons. Go, Ty. Yeah.
It's a political move. We have to pretend that we really care about everybody's safety. So that way we're not going to have the cars come through. Everybody can still come. We're just making it a little different so that everybody knows we really care. That's my take.
It's a political move. Is it like the reporter wearing a mask even though they're alone in the planet?
No, it's a different political move than that, because I know car dealers, and car dealers, the ones I know anyway, they really don't care. Just being honest.
So.
They really
don't care about the virus.
Going to an auction and standing in exhaust fumes, diesel fumes, and people fumes for 4 hours to buy cars to take them home to sell them. I really don't think they care about that. They just want to get their cars, say hi to their buddies, and go back home and sell them. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. But I do think it's interesting that the ones you mentioned, Ryan, because I'll give it 2 weeks and they'll have the doors wide open and the cars rolling.
And by the way, asterisk, you're talking about buyers, not all sales, right? You've got sales guys and buyers might be different types of animals, or they, no. Okay.
Now, when you open that door to that auction, it doesn't matter if you're a buyer, a dealer, a seller, a wholesaler. The door's open, we're coming in. We'll just watch. I'm not kidding. Wide open.
What do you think of the experience of no cars and just everything's on a screen? Are they going to feel like
the car guys are just going to put up with it? Like I said, maybe no more than 4 weeks. We'll keep an eye on Kansas City. I'm here. I'll go tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow. We'll do it live if you want. I'll be there live just to show you. Here's no cars. Here's dealers. Everybody's going to be standing around talking. Be great. But I'm telling you, give it no more than 4 weeks, and cars will be running through the auction.
Wasn't it Manheim saying just a couple of weeks ago that physical auctions might never return?
Yeah, that was the CEO, Sandy Schwartz. When asked if he would like the doors to be back open, he said, no, I hope they don't ever open back up again.
Well, in the article, what it says here, and this is from Manheim president Grace Huang, said the company remains committed to developing its digital platforms while balancing what its dealer customers wants. He said that they've been gathering feedback and then matching it with what they see in the data from a safety perspective. So I think what I'm reading between the lines is dealers want to be at the auctions. They want to be there, and they've made that clear. That they don't want to just do everything digitally on their phone, remotely. They want to get there to the auctions.
Which makes me wonder if do you think some dealers that use digital auction platforms and sell off the lot kind of miss the physical auction? What's your take on that?
Well, back up before I answer that. Here's the thing. You got to look at the data. Who has the data? Who has the information?
Manheim,
right. So whether you like Manheim or you don't like Manheim, whether you agree with Manheim or you don't, right? They've got the data, and guess what else they have? They've got the cars. Mm-hmm. So raise your hand if you were the first person to jump in the self-checkout line at Walmart and loved it. Did you do that, Ryan? Was that you?
I do self-checkout, yes.
No, go back. Listen to the question. When it was the open first chance, were you the first guy to go do it?
God, it's hard to remember.
I don't think I was.
It took me forever. And here's when I finally decided I'd do self-checkout. When they didn't have a person at the checkout counter, that's when I decided I'll do self-checkout. So I was the last guy, right? Mm-hmm. My point is I think they would be smart to go ahead and open the doors, because the longer you keep it closed, it starts smelling a little fishy. Like, you guys have all the data, and now you're starting to control this thing, and it's starting to feel like Walmart self-checkout. Who likes that besides nobody? I don't.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm not even into Walmart, so you got me there.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's what really threw me off.
But I will tell you this, and I think what we're looking at here, because we could take this and look at digital auctions and online car buying, is that no, I didn't do the self-checkout right away. But now that I know about it, I do prefer it unless I've got a lot of groceries. Mm-hmm. My point being, so if I'm going to buy a lot of cars, maybe I want the physical auction. But if I'm just...
No, it's reverse. It's reverse. If you're the guy who's a franchise dealer, Ford, let's just use Ford. I'm a Ford guy. Everybody in this conversation knows used car Ford guys sell a crap ton of used cars. True?
Yeah. Yeah.
So especially what we call the program cars. So they're going to go online. They don't want to go to the auction. It's an easy deal. I don't need to see that car. I don't need to touch it. It's still under warranty. I can even deal with a crappy CR, condition report, because I know that once I get the car, I'm a Ford guy. If there's a problem, I can run it through warranty. And my fixed ops department's probably going to make a little money on it, right? I don't know. I don't own a dealership. I'm just saying. What's that guy's name? Ricky Jarvis? You don't like me?
Ricky Gervais?
Gervais, yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't like me, right? I'm just saying.
Who's that name? I know that name.
Ricky Gervais is the British comedian that was hosting the Golden Globes, and he's developed TV shows.
I don't care.
He's a funny guy.
He said, I don't care. I don't care anymore.
His comedic timing is pretty unbelievable.
Anyway, yeah, he's a good dude. But so my point is I think it benefits everybody. Just open the doors. If everybody wants to get sick, go ahead and get sick. If you don't want to come, don't come. But you got to remember, guys, wholesale. Look at the wholesale. I mean, Jay and I have talked a lot about this. You take a wholesale, is it Wholesale Inc. out of Tennessee, maybe Nashville, somewhere down there, big company, a lot of wholesale, right? Do you think those guys are going to be happy with the transport guy picking the cars up, dropping them off at the auction, and good luck?
So, hey, I want to ask you in your example, who do you think wants to go? If in your example, those are the guys that don't need to go to the physical auction, who are the guys that want to go? Is there a profile? Do you think that they have data on what types of people want to go to the physical auction?
Well, they can come up with it quick with a couple of buttons. All they got to do is see how many people are buying online versus how many people show up at the auction. That's one way. I think you're going to see there are more people showing up at the auction than signing online. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
What do you think? Do you have any insight on what those? Listen, what the
persona is.
Well, here's the thing: I want to say something. We live in a funny world where everything is demographics and profiling and understanding your market and your customer. And we keep moving towards a world where we want to act like we're all exactly the same. Okay, but ask the advertiser if we're all exactly the same.
Well, you're not. And I think this is where, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but where I see it going is you're going to have both. And if you're an auction house, I don't pick anyone. It doesn't matter. If you say, well, you know what, I'm not into these live auctions and dealers and liability and people running over people and people running over things and cars catching on fire and all the problems that come along with owning an auction. You decide I don't want to do that. I'm just going to be digital only. Good luck. I mean, go for it. There's nobody stopping you. Make the best digital auction out there. Right? But I don't know if you're going to be around in 5 years. Call me. Let me know how it works out.
One thing you got to look at is the economics of it too. From an auction standpoint, it's probably more profitable to be digital, which would be why they would want to push for that. It would probably be more profitable.
Well, there you go.
Probably.
There you go. And probably the self-checkout lane is more efficient and profitable than having the lane checker.
Right.
So I like the way you guys are thinking. You're following it. Okay. So the next part of this is let's use a big auction. We won't use a name. Let's say that big auction has the big fleet account, and let's call that fleet account and a brand name. You pick the brand. So all the brand of that particular brand go to that auction. Program cars, lease turn-ins, I don't know what you call them, but they're new cars with low miles, right? So if I'm a big auction and I've got that account and I make a deal with the seller and the buyer to reduce the seller fee and the buyer fee, I'm still going to be more profitable, no doubt. The problem I'm wanting to see the answer to in the near future is how long is that big auction going to keep that big account? Because nobody comes. Does that make any sense at all? Because see, you guys were talking about it earlier, this ecosystem, how everything kind of works together. Okay, I go to a big auction. Let's just use Ford again, since I'm already using Ford. And I'm in the Ford lane. I'm not a Ford dealer, but it's the open Ford lane. Following me so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm really there to buy here, pay here cars, 5,000 and under, but I just happen to be standing and talking to my buddy by the Ford lane, and here comes a Ford Escort, low miles, new car, but it's got some issues, and I bought it just because I was standing there out of the Ford lane. So that means Ford sold one more car by me being there than they would have if I wasn't there, or if they were counting on me just being there online. So now, how long is your customer, say Ford, for example, going to be okay with basically set prices, right, and basically set sales?
I'll tell you what.
Not sure that's going to work.
What you just made me think too. Well, right. I'm with you. This is a different issue, but what you were making me think is when the technologists the coders and the engineers and the designers work with the marketers to make the online experience match some of the randomness of being at the live auction. What just came to mind is I was on cigarbid.com yesterday. Okay. And they've done an amazing job on Cigar Bid of I keep seeing all these other cigars, and that's my point, is that if you're going to be an online platform, have the ability to, so your consumer keeps seeing other options.
Well, that's one thing that digital can accomplish. It can personalize the experience. So using your example, Ty, of that random occurrence of a vehicle just not even coming down the lane, but just showing up, and you happen to randomly be there, that's very random and coincidental. It's not personalized for the user per se, that you're there as the user. Whereas on digital, that randomness can be personalized, meaning I could be on a digital auction site and something could pop up in my radar that's unique to me, because the system knows me, knows what I'm looking for, and that digital has that capability. What it doesn't have the capability is it takes time to get a physical car digitized to be merchandised online, even at wholesale for auction. So while that Ford just showed up randomly, no prep had to go into that at all, and you could see it. On digital, it's got to go through a process to get online.
It's funny you say that, because that is kind of gets into the idea
tonight's show.
Yes. He's trying to automate something that has been otherwise done manually.
Yeah.
And that is a future. The future is going to be full of these micro efficiencies that add up to just a big change in the way things are done.
Well, I don't know how much time we have on this topic. I'm just going to tell you, I love the idea, just even the talk of opening the doors. I love it. Okay. That's huge progress. And again, I can play both sides of the fence. I'm good at it, but ultimately at the end of the day, everybody knows Ty, and everybody knows Ty likes to go talk to people, see people, touch it, taste it, lick it, whatever you got to do. That's the kind of guy I am. So even if you can make it an experience where I can do all that online,
you still want to be there.
I still want to be there.
You still want to be there.
And to go further, you're going to say there are a lot of people like that, large groups, right?
That would just rather be there.
That would just rather be there. And I think I'm going to go on a limb and say an example of that is what we're seeing lately. What's happened in the last few months
with conferences and events.
I was exactly, and I was just telling Kimberly, look how much the kids actually miss school. Now, who would have ever guessed that?
Yeah.
The prospect of kids not being able to go back to school in the fall really concerns them. In fact, they don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see that too with my guys. So let's wind up today, get into wholesale prices. Jay and I were talking before we went on the air. And tomorrow on my show, let me share this screen here. We have Max Digital coming on. We have Kim and Tim from Max Digital, and we're going to be looking at their white paper on consumer insight on COVID-19's impact on consumers. Here's some of the key takeaways.
Hey, Big Al.
No meaningful shift from new car shopping to used car shopping, and online buying interest is rising, but still very small segment of buyers, which kind of led on to today's discussion. The reason I start with that is all indicators suggest that both the new car and the used car markets from a demand standpoint are relatively strong. If you look back a couple months ago, there was a lot of question marks dangling in the air as to what was going to happen to the vehicle demand nationally. And I think what we're seeing is that demand is still strong. It's still there. And while used car wholesale prices did plummet they've gone up almost 7%. If I have this right, was it almost 7%? No, wholesale prices rose 16% over the last 7 weeks, ending June 7th. So that's a good indicator. Go ahead.
Well, just like you were saying earlier about buyers, you know, the dealers, I think I heard you guys, it was when I was muted, but I think you had said something about the buyers are buying more cars, the buyer experience. Is that right? Did I hear that somewhere along there? There's this pent up demand. So I think you can take that same pent up demand and apply that to a car dealer. Meaning that guy, okay, oh no, it was you guys were talking about the buyer wants to actually come. They did surveys. The buyer really wants to come and actually touch and see the car.
Yes.
Before
the majority of buyers do want to buy from a person and have a physical experience.
So why is a car dealer any different than the normal Joe?
And going back to the auctions, because the auctions had to shut down, because the auctions had to scale down, they now don't have the staff to be at full capacity right now. I'm sure you're seeing that when you go to your auctions.
I'm at an auction right now, and it really did happen. And you know how they fixed it overnight? They hired a bunch of 20-year-olds that were ready to come to work because they're ready to go to work. So that's a great, and I mean, yeah, that happens, but is that a reason to not have an auction?
No, it's just a reality that puts a limit on what dealers.
And here's the other thing too. I know car dealers, man. I'm telling you, I just last week, okay, this happens. The guy comes, he checks out the car the day before the sale. He drives it on the test track. It's a perfect car. He writes down all the dents, all the cracks, all the scratches. He does his homework. He says, I want to give 20 grand for that car. There's nothing wrong with it. So he intentionally looks at it before the sale. He intentionally makes it to the sale. He wants to buy this car. As it's coming through the lane, it's missing. There's a miss. It doesn't sound right. Especially doesn't sound right after he looked at it yesterday. Something's wrong. Now, if I'm online and I'm buying this car, am I going to pay? I'll probably pay less if I'm in the lane and it's got a problem than I will if I'm sitting in my office and I'm looking at a condition report that's a 4.2.
And those would be good statistics to know. You know, I'm sure they have data on, you know, cars bought digitally versus cars bought physically, and what kind of rejections or concerns or whatever their process is.
Well, and I've talked to a lot of dealers that they have been buying online. I mean, this isn't new. This isn't something new to our industry. This has been around, to the best of my knowledge, at least since 2005. Where it's getting a little tricky now is you can't come here. You're counting on the auctions condition report to buy this car for 20 grand. You get the car off the condition report, you get it home, your transport guy says, no, I got pictures before I loaded it, and I got pictures when I dropped it off. No, I did not do that and that and that. I didn't do that. So now we got to get a hold of the auction. Now we've got an arbitration issue of a car that's now 300 miles away.
Yes.
Right? Let me know how that goes, guys. Give me a call. I want to find out how your online digital buying at the auction experience is going with arbitration. I really want to hear that one.
Right. That's what I was trying to find the word, arbitration. Those are the numbers I'd like to know too.
Yeah, and then call the arbitrator at the auction, ask them how their month.
Right. Talk to the arbitrator. Yes. Now you're going to really get some interesting information.
I know a couple that have actually quit during this time. 2 arbitrators that said, I'm not.
Because it just got a lot harder.
It just, arbitrating, talk to an arbitrator in an auction sometimes. You want to talk about a sucky job?
You know what? We got to get that interview, dude.
I can get that interview.
Oh,
that's
my gosh.
They'll tell you all about it.
Get an ex-arbitrator.
Yeah, but again, we're going back to the auctions, wholesale prices. I see wholesale prices just keep going through the roof because I do believe there is a pent-up demand. Call it a stimulus check. I don't care what you call it. There are probably some people that survive this because they save money.
But
there's still a pent-up demand. Yeah.
But here's an interesting indicator. A lot of people that thought or expected that they'd come in for service put it off because they just didn't want to pay for that right now. And so I'm not sold that much stimulus check money went to car sales. But then again, if you're not severely impacted and your stimulus money is just kind of like extra money, then maybe you are. Again, the ecosystem has a balance. It'd be hard to parse it all, but
it's one of those things we got to keep a pulse on it from week to week and month to month, because
consider all the factors.
Yeah, it's a moving target.
Well, and so the other thing that is interesting, I get emails from UPS Logistics in Madison, Illinois. Last week, I bet I got 30 emails of the equivalent of probably 600 cars going out of Madison to various locations in the Midwest. Okay, that's a lot of cars, and these are all new cars, and they're all Chrysler Dodge. So what are they doing up there, and where are they going, and why? Are they rental cars, perhaps? I don't know.
Hey, we were talking about the rental car market before you got here. We were talking about Hertz and just...
Right. So here we go back to tying his conspiracy wacko brain, okay? I've got all these cars in Madison, Illinois. Of all places, what are they doing there? I mean, is that even really a big town?
What is your speculation?
Somebody's sending them where the market is hot, right?
Or buying them. Someone up there is buying them.
And rental car companies have always done that anyways.
That's
where do
right.
we need cars?
Where do they get the report that says, hey, the market's really hot in Kansas City, Missouri? Let's send 284 Dodge program cars new. I don't know what they are, but let's send them to Kansas City. Oh, let's go to St. Louis.
Where do they get the report?
I don't know. But if I were going to be my first guess, would probably be something to do with Cox.
Well, yeah, vAuto kind of has a pulse on the market supply.
Or what about NADA?
For sure. They've got all the data.
Black Book. I mean, all these market reports, auction reports, they're out there.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're getting it. What about the NAAA, National Auto Auction Association, I believe it is? So, I mean, the thing is somebody smart, knows way smarter than me, has figured out, I got a bunch of cars here, I need to get rid of them. They're going to go somewhere. And keep in mind, we're paying a transport company to get them from point A to point B. So now we've got additional costs, right? So some smart kid back there with a computer that knows Excel spreadsheet way better than anybody I know, sitting back there plugging in a bunch of numbers. If we factor in transportation, interest, don't forget about interest, guys. Remember that one? So we got to factor in interest. We got to factor in transport. Now we got to get it to the auction. We need to factor in, are they going to do a clean deal? Are they going to condition report this thing? So we've got all these additional expenses to send these cars, 300, 400, 600 miles. I've always thought this is fascinating. Wouldn't it be cool to be the guy that was sitting here trying to figure this out? Where did they? I don't know. I really don't know. I thought about just taking a load just to figure it out, but oh well.
Well, you know what that's like though? That's like picking up what were those? They had confidential cars. I think I can talk about it now because I had a carrier that I was dispatching for, and he was picking up confidential cars at a holding lot outside Denver. Now these cars were like he said it was like going to see the body of an alien. It was that protected and secure, and when he got the car, like it just had an X on every panel. And I think these were recall cars.
Were they covered? Covered?
It's like it was, but not fully, because it's not a brand new car, so it's not all
I just wonder if you could see the brand.
Yeah, no, he could see the car, but and there was things removed from the car. He said it was really weird. He transported it to Kansas City where it was being destroyed, incinerated, and never to be heard from again.
Oh.
And that there were, like when it got the dispatch, it was a strange dispatch. Just everything about it was really weird. So there are these secret car moves. I mean, there's a lot of them. In fact, right now, somebody's like, the guy needs to stop talking about it or he's going to end up on the list.
Well, let's do this. We're at just about an hour. So this has been good. We hit some good topics in in a meaningful way that we haven't on here before. So I'm glad you guys did this. And the reason, folks, that I have Jay and Ty up here is Jay runs, I'm going to share my screen here. Jay runs Auto Transport Intel, which is his flagship show, runs every Tuesday night, which is tonight. There we go.
Yep. I've been getting ready for the show since last week, really. I start working on it the week before, and I just shared the link into the live chat. Please join us tonight. And feel free to go ahead and give a like. Oh, look, I've already got 4 likes and we haven't even started yet. So please help me reach the new record of 10 likes before we even got started.
Vehicle
inspection
reimagined.
So with Raven. So that says Raven, RAVIN.AI is a website, raven.ai. And what they're doing is they're using alternate means to get an automated vehicle inspection without having to manually do it. And that includes, like, I don't know. Actually, I've got a lot of questions. It's going to be a great show.
It is going to be good. I'll be looking forward to that. And so while this program here is one of 6, the used car marketing session that you're watching now is one of 6 different programs on auto conversion under the Auto Retail Marketing Mastermind course. So every Tuesday at 3:00 Central, we go live with one of these 6 programs: social selling, fixed ops, video, consumer experience. And we've also launched the Cars on the Move Monthly Roundtable, where Jay, Ty, and myself are meeting on a monthly basis, the first Monday of every month. So the next one will be July 6th. And the purpose of the roundtable is to bridge together dealers, auctions, and transport parties, shippers, dispatchers, and brokers, technically, right? Bridging them too. So
sure. I'll say, brokers, shippers, carriers,
and dispatchers.
And dispatchers, but that also includes dealers, auctions, OEMs. Yeah. The whole ecosystem.
The whole system. So that's the point of the roundtable. The first Monday of every month. The next one's Monday, July 6th. You can join for free. You can join your first one for free. Otherwise, you got to be a premium member to participate in that, or be on Ty's CTS coaching program, which I thought I had up here. Yeah, if you go to autotransportintel.com, look for CTS coaching, and you can see about Ty's one-on-one and group coaching sessions that involves the monthly roundtable. Now, these weekly webcasts we do are recorded, and they are now going to be featured on the Dealer Talk podcast. So the AutoConverse podcast will still feature our weekly show, the Mobility, Tech, and Connectivity show, which tomorrow, as you heard me mention a couple of times, we have Kim Evanson and Tim Scoutelis from Max Digital going to be looking at their white paper on COVID-19 impact on consumers, and which we touched on a couple times here. We'll also get into some news items. We probably won't bring up Hertz since we brought it up today, but Apple breaking up with Intel, Tesla wants to build a new plant that as early as the summer, and China easing its green rules for petro-electric hybrids, which kind of a breakthrough development. So I am Ryan Girardi. Thank you, Jay and Ty, for being here. We'll be back the 3 of us will be back in 6 weeks for this again. It's free to watch live, free to listen to on the podcast. You can also register for free at autoconversion.net, and you can join us up here on Zoom and be part of the conversation as well. Guys, if you just want to hang tight, I'm going to bring us offline, and then I'll be right back.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
I got to get these off.